Brooke Boyd, and I'm here with the manager, Jana Boyd, who is she's the manager of the South Orem Seagull Book and Tape Store. And I first wanted to ask you, Jana, what kind of products does Seagull Book sell, and what do these products communicate?
They are largely products that are LDS related, so they communicate good, wholesome values, and they're go between inspirational and fictional. In the book section, the fictional books still maintain LDS quality or standards, and then we also have home decor and clothing. The clothing is modest, again, upholding the LDS standards.
Which is Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Right. How does South Orem Seagull book culture differ from other bookstore cultures?
Other bookstores primarily sell any and all books, whereas the Seagull book sells, as I was saying, primarily only LDS products. Even our authors are not all, but are primarily all belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, including our fictional writers. Again, not all of those writers necessarily, but most of them. And then we do carry books on self-help topics, but they are not, we don't have like off the wall or more worldly topics. We wouldn't, in other words, have Hollywood or promote largely liberal ideas.
Is there a specific dress code among the staff, and what does this dress code communicate?
We have to look neat and comely, but the dress code is very casual. We are encouraged to wear the products of the clothing that we sell. However, it's not limited to that, but we do have to be modest in dress and be, again, clean, neat, and comely.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to go on the topic of questions of collectivist or individualistic. So what I wanted to ask is, do South Orem Seagull book employees work separate or together?
That's an interesting question, especially from my store location. We do work very much collectively, but almost in an individual way, because sales are down, especially right now. You're sometimes there in the store completely alone, and so that would seem individualistic. But everything that we do, there's like a chain of events that we carry from one shift to the next. For instance, the morning shift might be receiving merchandise, and then the evening shift picks up with that merchandise and merchandises the store in the evenings. And so, again, we do work together, but sometimes in a very separate manner, physically in a separate manner, but everything is done almost in a round. So, again, one person may handle the merchandise and receiving it, another person may handle the merchandise and stickering it, and then a third person may end up handling the merchandise and putting it out on the floor. And so, again, that's a collective effort, but it may be done by individuals on different shifts.
How do staff interact with one another?
We try to maintain a friendly but professional level of friendship or interaction, meaning that when we're on the floor working, we're very much professional. But I do encourage my employees to get to know each other, to have conversations, because I believe that you work best with people you know and love, and so we do try to get to know each other and to love one another, and again, we still have to put work above that friendship when customers come in the door.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about receiving and putting the products out and stickering, what are other tasks that are performed by employees that they work together in?
Well, we have to steam clothing and get those hung up, which is, of course, getting merchandise out. But we do COVID cleaning now that we're in a pandemic, where we have to go in and clean the dressing room after it's used. We also have to, obviously, the most important thing we do is take care of customers.
Mm-hmm. So that leads me to my next question. How do staff and customers interact with one another? What's their communication?
As the manager in the store, I have a saying that I use often, and that is every customer, every time, meaning that we greet at the door, on the floor, and at the register.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that by the time a customer leaves my store, they've had at least 3 interactions with the employee. So the employee should greet them at the door. The greeting is typically, "Hi, what brings you in today?" or "Hello, welcome. How can I help you find something?" Or "What can I help you find?" And then hopefully after they have answered the questions at the door, they give them time to shop around and then find them on the floor again later and say, do you have any other questions, or is there anything else I can help you look for, or are you finding everything okay? And then, of course, at the register, I want them to, "Hi, I guess you found everything," or "Did you find everything you need?" and how was your shopping experience? And perhaps have a brief conversation with them at the register as well before they leave.
Mm-hmm. What about when something goes awry in the store? How do employees take care of things? What's their reaction? Like, for instance, if there is an angry customer, what's the culture experience there?
Fortunately, because of the type of business we are, and the fact that we do have obviously people of all kinds from all over the world in our store, literally, we have also at the same time a high concentration of local members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in our store. And so fortunately this doesn't happen often, but when it does, we just do our best to listen to the customer, find out what the problem is, and try to work with them within the policies of our store, and try to make things right for them. I think that we probably have about a 98, if not 99% rate of success doing that. But there is unfortunately going to be that one customer in every blue moon that you absolutely can't help, that is going to be determined to leave mad, and then they do so. But some of the things that we've done, if they're, depending on what has upset them and how upset they are, I as a manager have even gone out of my way to give like $10 or $20 store credit free of charge to them to make up for whatever it is they're upset about. But that's usually only in very extreme cases, because I also have a philosophy that we don't want to encourage bad behavior. And so if they're kind of actually in there and what they're mad about is something that's ridiculous, I don't want to encourage that kind of behavior and have them come in and do that frequently so that they can get something new. But if I really do feel like they have a legitimate complaint, I just do all I can to make it right for them, whether it's exchange product or, like I said, in very rare cases, but I have given a gift, whether it was of merchandise or of store credit, that is free of charge to them.
My next topic of questions is going to be on storytelling and customer interaction. So the storytelling, like how, my first question in this topic is, how do employees, well, I guess you already talked about that, how they greet customers, So what about after the customers walk in? I guess you kind of talked about that too, actually. What's their interaction? So you said three, um, three interactions. So
Well, there is a unique, again, because of the uniqueness of our business and it being typically members of the church, there are times where they come in and it's well known that Latter-day Saints keep the word of wisdom, which means that we don't drink, we don't go to bars and things of that nature. But it's kind of a joke in our atmosphere that as a church related bookstore that we are the equivalent to Mormon barkeepers or Mormon bartenders. And what I mean by that is we are the place where people come in when they are experiencing difficult things in life, and so we are often the people that they will end up pouring their heart and soul out to. And quite literally, I have had people cry on my shoulder about what they're going through, and they have come into my store, whether it's to look for a positive home decor item or picture of the Savior or of the temple because they're hurting, or whether it's to look for a book on the topic of divorce or abuse or death, and grieving. They come in looking for these items, and so they actually will share very, very personal things with us. And as with any company, we have so many things that we need to get done in our 4-hour or 8-hour shifts, and so we're kind of on a time crunch. But in our work culture, we know that people are more important than things, and we will stop and stand and listen to them, even though we could be putting out merchandise or carrying out some other task. In our environment, people are definitely more important than tasks.
that's awesome. You basically answered all the rest of the questions I had for that section. So my third topic of questions is on, I think it's monochronic or polychronic. So are your employees more of like non-multitaskers or multitaskers? So my first question is the culture of the South Orem Seagull bookstore busy, or is it often slow?
I think that's an interesting question, and it kind of depends on, the day. So we can have days where we're very slow when it comes to customers coming into the store. But I often feel like we're never slow when it comes to tasks that need to be performed. And then whenever we have high customer traffic coming through in the day, it can be very, very hectic trying to juggle between tons of customers coming in and tasks that need to be done. But yeah, I would have to say, as far as customer flow, it can be fast or slow. But when it comes to actual work needing to be done, oh, there is always something that needs to be done and something that needs to be done next. As far as my employees being multitaskers, I think that multitask, if you really study it and look at the research done on it, multitasking is a myth. We are individuals who can focus best on one thing at a time. And so I really try to give my employees a list and have them accomplish one task at a time. But then in reality, whenever you consider multitasking, they do have to put their task down to interact with customers when customers come in the door. And what's going to determine when they do that, obviously, is a customer coming through the door.
Mm-hmm. So on a really busy day, I guess you've already answered this. I was going to ask, when it's a really busy day, what tasks are usually needed to be done. But I guess on a busy day, here's my last question. How do employees work together? Are they usually good, or? Are there some that lag or?
The employees usually work together well. I would say if I had to give like a problem area, it's sometimes instead of working on tasks individually to cover more territory, they sometimes want to work together, and in doing so they get into personal conversations and that slows them down in what they're doing. To give an example, I often have them stickering merchandise, and what I have noticed is that if they are up front at the counter stickering merchandise together, they have a tendency to do more talking than working. And so I really like to give them separate tasks to where one is stickering and one is putting out, or one is stickering and one is working on the checklist that we do every day. That way they can have moments where they interact with one another, but they're not just standing around talking and working slowly. Because again, I've just observed that when they are working literally side by side, there is more personal, not unwork related talking done more than there is working. And since we are in a crunch to get done the work that needs to be done, I kind of do have to politely find ways to limit that interaction without making them feel like that no one's allowed to talk to one another, or that I don't want them to become friends, because in truth I do believe that friends work better together than strangers. And then also, having said that, it's just very important that one shift does get done their personal task list for that shift, because if not, it gets moved or pushed on to the next shift, and the next shift actually already has a list that they need to do. And so when in our culture the workload isn't done in a particular shift, you're in essence doubling someone else's workload, and unfortunately that can often mean it's my workload. And as the manager, there are a million things that I am in charge of or have to do or accomplish that my employees don't even know about. And so when they don't do their job and add to my workload, there is just a myriad of things that make it more difficult for me that they will never see. And so again, I try, instead of being a tyrant about it, which I have been on an occasion or two, but instead of trying to be a tyrant about it, I try to manage the situation again by giving them tasks that will kind of keep them apart from one another for the most part.
As you were talking, I actually thought of one last question. It is my last question. Since we're running long on time, I'll kind of ask for this to kind of be brief, but does the South Orem Seagull bookstore, do y'all have any average customers, like the ones that come in frequently? And
Yes.
what is their relationship with the employees, the store? Do they look forward to visiting the store and with the employees? What is that usually like?
Absolutely, we do. Again, because of the uniqueness of our store carrying a really good selection of LDS appropriate fiction, I have a lot of elderly ladies especially that do come in each month when our new fiction books arrive, and they are always so eager to get their new books because they are elderly, they're retired, they have a lot of time to read, and it's something they love and enjoy. A lot of them are widowed and live alone, and so again, the books are their company, even throughout their week. And having said that, we are their company. When they come in, we are sometimes, especially with COVID going on, maybe the only people they're really interacting with throughout the week. And so they come in and they really want to talk and share things with you. And I love to ask them, how did you enjoy the book? What did you like about it? So that I can pass that on to other customers that ask me, because obviously we carry so many books, I can't read them all. Mm-hmm. And so I love to be able to say, oh, I have a regular customer that comes in and buys books, and this is what she said about this one or whatever. Um, and 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 um, and so as the manager, I'm there more hours a week than other employees, and so I obviously know these customers better than some of my employees. However, I also have employees that have been there for quite a long time, and even though they may not be there as many hours a day as I am, they've been there long enough to also get to know some of these people. And it's almost like having an old friend stop in and visit during the week. You get to know
Mm-hmm.
these customers so well that it becomes like a meeting place for you with your friends. As soon as they walk in the door, it's just exciting. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for um, helping me out with this assignment. I really loved hearing the answers to the questions that I asked you and learning about South Orem Seagull book culture. That's really amazing. Thank you for your time. Again, this is Brooke Boyd interviewing Jana Boyd, who is the manager at the South Orem Seagull bookstore. Thank you.